So it has been a wild week as a Suns fan. And Dave, I think you can attest to this. I don't know, were you awake on Friday night after 10 p.m. when the whole Ariza trade debacle was happening like live on Twitter?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, I was. I was at a holiday party actually at a friend's house, and I started getting notifications on my phone and hearing texts going through and bang, 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 bang on my phone like a pinball machine. So I pulled it out. I got myself into a corner away from all the folks, and I just saw it unfolding live. I did not like the original deal, even if it had Dylan Brooks in there. I didn't think Dylan Brooks was worth spending a lot of. I mean, Ariza had only so much capital, but um, focusing on a Dylan Brooks back, I didn't think was ideal. But that does kind of show you what talent was out there available to the Suns for Trevor Ariza, a 1 year rental. So, but yes, I saw it unfold, and then the deal is done, and then the deal is dead, and all the which Brooks is it? That just baffled me.
So,
And there's still no clear answer because all sides are digging in their heels, saying it wasn't them.
well, I think it was a little bit of everybody, but I think it was a lot of Washington. And, because basically the Suns were using Washington as a middleman in this trade right here, which is fine. That's actually not unheard of. It does happen a lot. The
Hmm.
surprising part about it was that eh, as it became finalized, the league actually has to call each team and confirm that this is what is going to happen, and that all of the parties agree to the players involved, yada yada yada. And that's when they realized that they were talking about different Brooks. It took that long. Now, so even if you were having a team be the middleman, at what point before you call the league office do you not all hop on a conference call or get uh, a chain email going just to confirm?
Well, what I don't quite understand is how is it possible that Washington and Memphis never actually said the first name of one of the players when I mean everybody knows there's two different Brookses on those teams, and the people who get paid to know every team's rosters are the ones who are talking to each other. So how is it possible that the Grizzlies never even mentioned a first name of a Brooks, and Washington never picked up on it that it wasn't the one the Suns wanted? Why in the world would the Suns want Marshawn Brooks?
Well,
I
that's
mean,
why that's
there
why the
can't be
Grizzlies were
that
like,
kind of
yes, yes, we'll do
there.
it. Take them.
Of course, the Grizzlies are saying sure, but why would the Suns ever want Marshawn Brooks?
Well,
They already have Troy Daniels.
that when I was looking at the package and it was Marshawn Brooks, I was just like, well, this is weird, but okay, I guess Trevor Ariza's value isn't all that high. Now it was interesting because you actually had Gambo and Woj like offering two like really different competing
Well, Woj
stories.
Woj started with Dylan,
Yeah, right. Because well,
and then
that's
he switched to Marshawn only because somebody told him to. Because that's what these guys do is they get their sources, and then it's another source, and then another source. Yeah. So, but they started with Dylan. Everyone, Shams as well, started with Dylan.
well, you can tell where the leak was coming from then, right? So the leak was clearly coming from the Sun's side.
Or
Gamble also
Washington.
has
Or
a
Washington.
direct. Well, Washington didn't realize that it was Dylan Brooks.
No, Washington thought it was Dylan. Washington thought it was Dylan, and the Suns thought it was Dylan. It's just that Washington never had actually Memphis say the guy's name out loud, apparently. But Washington knew that the Suns. Um, Bob Young posted an article overnight about at least the Suns side of it, and Washington was trying to get Trevor Ariza, and the Suns had mentioned to Washington that they had been in contact with Memphis over time, looking at Dylan Brooks, and so Washington said, "Well, why don't we broker a deal where we get Ariza and you end up getting Brooks back?" And the Suns said, "Okay," and that's how it happened. So Washington thought that Dylan was the one the Suns wanted was the one in the deal, but never actually asked because Washington wasn't keeping the guy.
It
So
is.
apparently they didn't care.
Oh, oh, what a bummer. I'm gonna have to take that out.
Why?
No, not that. I didn't realize that I was only had a trial of this video recording software. I thought I just had the software.
Uh,
And so it just informed me that I can no longer. So hold on.
you
Continue.
have used up your trial in
Right.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Like, give me a week with it. Don't give me
Right.
5 minutes of
All
recording.
right,
I don't.
5 minute trial. Woo!
We didn't even get through the intro. Fucking weird. Three, two, one. 3, 2, 1. So I was talking to a well-informed Wizards fan about this yesterday. And I was just kind of curious because on Suns Twitter, obviously it's been a bad week for Robert Sarver. It's been a bad week for the Suns. We'll go into that later. We don't need to get into that right now. But needless to say, it's been a bad week for Robert Sarver. So there's not a lot of uh, leeway when it comes to mistakes that the Suns make. So the minute that there is any sort of confusion, Suns fans, probably rightfully so, jump to the conclusion that it's the Suns' fault. I was talking to a Wizards fan, again, a well-informed Wizards fan, and he was telling me that Wizards Twitter was all over Ernie Grunfeld
I'll bet
regarding
they
this.
were. Hey, I tell you what, no teams detractors. Um, sorry, I'm going to say this a different way. The team's own fans are the ones who are the best trollers on their team, their favorite team, when they make mistakes. The Suns fans are the best at making fun of the Suns. So I could imagine the Wizards fans are the best at making fun of the Wizards and so on.
Well, especially with the shithole season that they're having too.
Wow. Yeah, you talk about drama. They've got some serious drama there. And as much as people love Trevor Ariza for being a glue guy, if he is in a bad situation, it's clear that he checks out pretty quick. He proved that. Uncomfortable silence.
No, um, Greg, Texas. So now I'm
He
gonna have
did?
to do just an intro. 3, 2, 1. So the Suns actually did acquire some players. Austin Rivers, Kelly Oubre. Personally, I like the Oubre acquisition a bit more than the Austin Rivers one, though I do actually appreciate. I think the Suns getting a decent point guard, shooting guard, combo guard, whatever you want to call them on the roster. I do think that there's value in that for the rest of the season, for a number of reasons that we've outlined before, specifically with Ayton, though. But Kelly Oubre, so averaging 13 points, 4.5 rebounds, almost a steal a game, 0.7 blocks, 43% shooting overall, 31% from three. Um, what I like about Oubre specifically is he's in the top 50 for deflections per game, pretty good defender, a lot like Josh Jackson. I'm sure a lot of people have seen Oubre play, but he's a player with some upside, so I like him there. Austin Rivers, 6-year vet. He played point guard and shooting guard for the Pelicans, Toronto, and the Clippers. Last year, he shot 37% from three. He's a career 15% assist percentage guy. He is by far having the worst season of his career right now, though, with the Wizards. As Dave mentioned, there's been some drama with the Wizards, so it's hard to take away too much from that. But overall, like, I don't know, Dave, what do you think of the haul? I guess I should say.
So obviously, it wasn't going to be a franchise-saving trade because Trevor Ariza only had so much value as an expiring contract. Some folks hang on that expiring contract thing, thinking it's an actual panacea because it used to be back in the day when teams needed to create cap space in the off seasons. But this is just expiring contracts for expiring contracts trade. They're not as valuable as they used to be. So getting something of value for Ariza is actually pretty good. Yeah, I like the potential of a Kelly Oubre, and people worry that, wow, he can't play in this rotation. Trevor Ariza was playing 34 minutes in this
Yep.
same rotation. So I think between and some backup point guard was playing 12 to 15 minutes. So I really do think that there's room for both guys, Austin Rivers on some kind of minutes, and then Kelly Oubre on some kind of minutes. And we'll see what happens with the rest of the Suns. I mean, Oubre, is he better right now than Josh Jackson? Yes. Is Austin Rivers better right now than, say, Isaiah Canaan? Yes. Is there a question on whether he's better than DeAnthony Melton? Well, Austin Rivers is a more proven product than DeAnthony Melton. I really love watching DeAnthony Melton play, and I want to see him play more. But I would not be surprised if Igor starts Austin Rivers when he's available, and then has Melton come off the bench, where Melton doesn't have to go against the other team's starters all the time. And then we'll just see how. Then you see how the game goes every game, because whoever starts doesn't mean that that person finishes. So I think it's a good deal. The Suns went have basically a +1 on NBA caliber players. Um, I did some analysis recently. And I couldn't figure out how to put it into an article, but I did some analysis on really the Suns for the last year and a half. Basically, have only had guys who were 22 or and under, or 30 and over. And most people realize that uh, a player's peak athletically and physically and talent wise, using their basketball IQ to the best of their abilities, is somewhere between the ages of 23 and 29. Because after 29,
between 26 and 30, probably. But yeah, I get your point.
but even 23 to 29, it's like,
Right.
so what I did is I did some analysis, and the Suns are by far, like by about half, the Suns have the fewest minutes of guys aged 23 to 29 in the entire league. TJ Warren being the obvious exception, Isaiah Canaan early in the season being an exception to that. But that means even with those two in the rotation, because I did this analysis before Canaan was released, even those two in the rotation, the Suns were still less than more than twice as few minutes from guys 23 to 29 than the next closest team almost. So now the Suns get 23-year-old Kelly Oubre. They get 25, 26-year-old Austin Rivers. You're going to see actual competent NBA play because they're at least a little bit predictable. They may not be top end. They're certainly not all-star caliber, but they're predictable. So I think this is a good trade for the Suns in terms of competitiveness. I think we saw the bottom of the Suns' ability to win games, just crash and burn over the last. I think they're 16 and 66 over the last 82 before the last two wins, Thursday and Saturday. So that's pretty darn bad. I think we've seen the bottom, and I think the Suns are going to be a lot more competitive the rest of the season, and I'm looking forward to watching that. I like watching competitive basketball. Call me an optimist. It's kind of fun watching competitive basketball. What do you think, Tim?
I am just really excited to have a Kelly Oubre, Josh Jackson lineup, honestly.
Just
I'm not saying
just
it'll
two
be good.
guys flailing all over the place. One's a lefty, one's a righty. Um, Josh, what is he? He was 2 for 14 the other night.
Sounds about right.
Saturday, he was 2 for something else. It's so I wouldn't mind there being some competition. Oubre does have he was 2 for 10 on Saturday. Oubre does have talent there. He does play defense really well. He's got really long arms. So I think it's just nice to see another guy out there who's going to try hard, has a little bit of a swagger, and can make some shots.
Well, so you kind of noted on it earlier. Both the players are in a contract year. I feel like this is a little bit more important for Oubre when it comes to the Suns, because no matter what you think of the Suns' point guard rotation, at the very least, the Suns have their backup point guards of the future. I'm pretty certain of that, so I don't really think that Austin Rivers has much of a place with this team moving forward. Kelly Oubre might, though. He is in a contract year, and if he plays well, I mean, he might stick around.
Yeah, if he plays well. The thing is, what kind of contract offer is he going to get? So going into Alex Len's fourth season, we all thought he might be worth $20 million a year in the new landscape of the NBA, and obviously he didn't turn out to be worth that. There are guys. Very few people actually got extensions off of their contract this for next year. You guys saw two of them on Saturday night in Karl Anthony Towns and Devin Booker, but most other guys don't have contracts going into next year. They're all going to be restricted free agents. So I don't know how far the money is going to go on the open market. I'm not sure Kelly Oubre is going to get that $20 million a year that people thought he might get. We'll see how he plays, and we'll see how effective he is for the Suns. Yeah, maybe you bring him back, and maybe it's a reasonable contract. But you can also just let him go. It's totally okay because the Suns were going to let Trevor Ariza go, so it's no loss.
And on that note, let's go ahead and take a break. And when we get back, someone named Greg Esposito is going to be joining us.